Good morning. This is a special meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court, 23rd day of November 2011. It is now 8:15 in the morning. As we do all meetings, we'll start with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. Please rise. Commissioners Court to lead us in the pledges. Liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. We're going to take a couple of things out of order. The first one is related to the RMA. Which one is, what number is it? 4F. If there's no objection from the court, let's take item 4F out of order. Consideration approval of a resolution authorizing a portion of the tax increment zone from Cameron County Transportation Reinvestment Zone number 1 to be deposited to the tax increment account for such zone, and authorizing an agreement with the Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority for the transfer, assignment, pledge, and/or payment of tax increment account funds to such authority for the development of transportation projects. Now translate
Move
that.
to approve, Judge.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Hernandez. Discussion. All those in favor,
Judge,
please.
Hold on. Since we do have a quorum of the RMA board, we did post an agenda and determine.
Go
we'll
ahead.
just call the meeting to order.
I'd like to call a meeting, special meeting of the Board of Directors of Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority, Wednesday, November 23rd, 8:15 a.m.
All right. All in
Judge,
favor?
just for clarification, that was at 100% participation?
All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. I think Mr. Ridings wanted to make a few comments to the court.
Did Mr. Alex want to make a few comments? I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr. Alex. Chairman?
He just wanted to open up the meeting.
Okay.
I just want to glad to say that Ruben Gallegos showed up bright and early this morning. Must be a holiday or something. Sure.
Honorable Judge, County Commissioners, I'm Richard Ridings here today speaking as past president of the American Public Works Historical Society and the American Public Works Association, and here to recognize you on behalf of the historic event that just took place and what you're doing with the RMA and the work that's been going on for the last year and a half to put together this Transportation Reinvestment Zone. TRZ is truly historic in the state of Texas. Something this complex and this long, a single TRZ over 80 miles in length, which will assist the county and the county RMA in terms of funding its overall program. It gives the ability to finance, support the financial part of the overall $1.7 billion program, and this will be in excess of 10%, the ability to use the incremental portion on this overall TRZ. No one else has done this anywhere in the country, anywhere in this state to this complexity. And I'd like to thank you on this Thanksgiving week and recognize you. This will go down in the annals of history in the state and in the United States as a group, a region, a county that has taken responsibility for its overall economic growth and development and transportation program to make it sustainable, where future generations will have a way to put important infrastructure in place. No one has done what you have just done. It is truly historic, and you will be recognized forever as a part of establishing sustainability in public infrastructure. And I would like to thank the chair
Thank you. Commissioner De Casa?
Yeah, just brief comment, Judge. I think that this, last December, I think this Commissioners Court took the first step in agreeing to participate in the TRZ, and almost a year ago. And to finalize the document and get it prepared and do everything is quite an accomplishment, and I think that our staff needs to be recognized for that, or your staff, you know, the RMA staff, the RMA board members, for seeing this come to fruition. It is really monumental to see this occur. It is unprecedented, as Richard told us, to have this occur in the state. And I think it gives, most importantly, each one of you board members of the RMA a very critical tool and component to be able to sell the projects to the state level and to the federal level. You know, the kind of commitment made by our community to your projects shows on this instrument. And the value of the tool, when you know, you talk to the folks in different places and are able to tell them what the local commitment is in every project, besides what we had already committed, besides the fee and all this other stuff, you know. When you show up with a document like this in somebody's door, they know that you're talking with a backbone of your community in your hand. And I want to commend you for bringing this to us and for allowing us to act on it. It's easy. This is the easy part, I feel. What you have done to get it to us is a hard part. And, you know, gentlemen back there, I know you, Brian, and all of you guys have worked hard, Richard, but most importantly, the board members, thank you all very much for what you've done and what difference you will make for the future generations of our county and our area. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just to close our comments on it, I don't know, this board that I have the pleasure of serving as chairman on was created by this body right here. And if it wasn't for this body right here and your vision and you're looking at what's going to happen in the next 20 or 30, 40 years in this county, we wouldn't be here working with you as we have in the past, hand in hand, glove in glove, to make this county, give all of our citizens in this county an equal opportunity to be gainfully employed. And I think the accolades go to you gentlemen and you lady for what you've done to create this organization. And it's a labor of love, and it's part of our everyday living. And all I can just say is that thank you for what you said, David. And thank you for the commissioners and the county judge for having the vision to create an RMA herein. What we can do here, nobody else in the state can do right now. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Do you need to adjourn your meeting?
Want a motion to adjourn? On a motion by Mr. Gallegos. Got a motion by Mr. Gallegos to adjourn our meeting, second by Mr. Garza. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you all very much for all that you do.
I have a couple of comments, Judge. I missed the vote. Apologize for being tardy. This item was a little further down on the list. The only question I had about this, and I guess it's passed, and I completely agree with all the work the RMA's done. The only thing that I didn't see was a quantitative amount. And I don't know if there's an amount in here, if this is an open-ended thing, or if we have certain projects that are marked for purposes of the debt. And so what I was just wondering if I could get an explanation on that. And let me begin by saying, when it comes to the RMA, y'all have done a great job. You're leading, I think, in the state and probably throughout the nation with what you do. When I first came in as a commissioner, I really wasn't too familiar with what RMA did, and as the years gone by, I've come to learn quite a bit, and I've seen that the integral component of the county and RMA working tightly together is, I think, what's made you and us very successful in your endeavors. But as a commissioner, I also have a duty to look out for the county purse, and the only thing that I wasn't aware of, and I'm not sure if it's in here, is if this is an open-ended investment, or if it has certain projects earmarked, and then later, if you want more, you come back to us.
That's correct. Last December, Commissioners Court, after a public hearing, created Transportation Reinvestment Zone number 1 that had specific projects on it to include the Outer Parkway, to include a portion of US 77, FM 509 in the Harlingen, San Benito area, the 281 connector, that is a connector, a connecting road between Military Highway and US 77. It included the East Loop project and the State Highway 550 project. So that is the zone, that is the largest TRZ in the state. And you're correct, any funds can only be utilized for those projects. And we've got 3 projects that I venture to say in the next 3 years will be ready. One is State Highway 550. We previously got funded pass-through funds from TxDOT. East Loop project, we got $37 million pass-through funds from TxDOT for that. On 550, we got $27 million. And then the FM 509 project. So those 3 should be well under construction in the next 3 years. And so we cannot deviate, we cannot utilize funds for projects that are not in the zone. Okay. But you're also correct in that we can always come back and either amend the zone or create another zone to include other transportation
to continue
projects.
To expand.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the term is tied to the debt.
Okay. Great.
And that is spelled out in the...
Okay, and I didn't get a chance to read it, that's what I was asking. Pete, another thing that I'd ask, and you RMA members, what I haven't seen at the county level, I know we have EDCs in the cities, but what I haven't seen at the county level or a regional approach, kind of like what you're doing with infrastructure, is economic development, where maybe we can get the cities, get Brownsville, get Harlingen, get the EDCs, get the port, get the universities, so we can vision what we're going to build along the infrastructure you're building. Because the idea is we're building infrastructure to help move people in and out. The island, I think, is an automatic growth expectation. But everywhere else along the port, with the expansion of the Panama Canal, with the interstate that y'all are bringing to us, that opens a lot of opportunity to bring more industry, to bring more development to the area. But I think the way that we attract it is to work everyone together, not individually, not Brownsville, not Harlingen, not the port, but get everyone together so that through the university we can start building different types of educational opportunities that will attract companies that will come here and do manufacturing and do the things that maybe can no longer be done in Mexico because of the violence, but get that made in the USA stamp. So I'd ask you, Pete, and members of the RMA to consider, and I'm going to start working on this, is building some sort of like a county economic development plan where you get members from the different entities to all work together to kind of have a vision. I know the different cities do it, but as a region, as an area, I don't know that we have that in place. And by doing that, I think it'll help all the benefit that you're looking to get from this reinvestment zone.
Yeah, that goes right in line with the discussion the board has had in the last couple of meetings. One of the areas that we're looking to partner up is State Highway 550. The 3.5-mile spur. I believe most of that property is owned by the Port of Brownsville. So we've had discussions with the staff at the port about creating a master plan or a plan unit development, bringing an expert that has done this before and create that master plan, that plan unit development so that we can maximize the use out of the land that the port owns. And we've had discussions with BDC as well. And so one of the things the board is planning in the next 2 weeks, we have a need to update our strategic plan. In 2005, the board approved a 6-year strategic plan. And so we're going to meet to review the goals that were set 6 years ago and see if we've met those goals. And then we're going to have a lengthy discussion going into the future 6 years and try to project which projects will be completed in the next 6 years. And you mentioned that US 77, we should have an interstate to Cameron County in the next 6 years. And so we're going to look at what that impact is going to have on us and do exactly what you just mentioned is we need to start looking at partnering with EDCs, chambers of commerce, cities in the county to create those opportunities so that we don't end up with a development that is not going to maximize the use of land or other resources that we have. In this case, on State Highway 550, the port brings in all the property. We have tools like the court just passed this morning, the TRZ, that we can provide for transportation infrastructure. And then city, BDC, they bring in incentives that can be offered to potential developers. So to answer your question, yes, that's a discussion that will be held at the board level when we start updating our strategic plan for the next 6 years.
Thank you, Pete.
Any further discussion?
I think that we need to make sure, it's very difficult sometimes, and we have had commitments from some of the cities and some of the EDCs on some of the projects that have been worked on in the past. Some, they've already paid up. Some of them, we're still in the developmental phase. But I think it's important to note that, you as an RMA, you need to look in the priority of projects in which you get the most cooperation from the locals from. Because, if there's interested parties that want to help you move a project along and want to partner with you, we got to give them priority. If people don't want to come to the table and be part of it and they're just going to sit back and let it happen, in my opinion, I don't think that should be the priority projects we work on. If folks want to partner with the RMA and want to be, as Commissioner Sanchez mentioned, invited to the party and be part of the solution to problems, we've got to give them priority. We've got a number of projects throughout the county and only a limited amount of monies to do them with in the short time. So we need to put them into development as we get commitments, as you get commitments from the locals.
I wasn't talking about projects in general, Commissioner. My idea is, if we've already designated this corridor as being our TRZ, then the way the benefit that the money's going to come in is for those values to go up. And the way those values go up is to attract business, to attract industry. Exactly. And we need to, I think it benefits everybody when, as a group, we can bring in manufacturers, when we can bring in the development that is not just going to benefit Brownsville, not just going to benefit San Benito, not just going to benefit Harlingen, not just the island. I mean, you've done a great job at the airport putting all that together. Well, now we need someone to come in and use it. Well, how do we do that? By drawing that development into Cameron County. And I don't know that we have that as a county, as the big brother, to kind of bring all the cities together, the universities, the port, everybody. I think it's a combined effort, and I don't know if we could, as a county, create a board where we could put members together formally, but if not, at least informally, get all these partners and parties to the table, because if we look around, I mean, a lot of people like the Made in the USA stamp. Because of where we are geographically, we probably have the best opportunity to offer a lower cost of worker to create those things. We don't necessarily, I mean, the further north you go, the higher the labor cost is. Down here, it's not as high, but it's still at a level where we can bring jobs to our people. I mean, we've got guys at Amphels making really good money that, other than Amphels being there, they wouldn't be making that kind of money here. So if we bring more development like that in different industries, and it takes going out and trying to figure out, okay, well, what are they doing over here that we could do here, because we've got a great seaport, we've got the rail, we've got the interstate, we've got different things that benefit us. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think all the development will continue and our infrastructure will grow And eventually, I see the entire valley as a huge metroplex, kind of like Dallas-Fort Worth. But if we don't attract the industry to drive our property values up and get away from relying on the bridge system to pay for our county budget instead of our property value by manufacturing or development, then we're not getting in the direction we need to go, because I think every year our bridge tolls have just come down, and it affects us overall because we've always relied on that. Well, instead of relying on that, let's rely on having a good property value base that we can rely on our tax value to take care of all our needs. And that's kind of the direction I was going.
And that's great, because we need the cities to help. We don't have local ordinance making authority where we can say we're going to protect this corridor as a county. But every city pretty much now is in every ETJ that is identified in our TRZ. So they can help us by making sure that they implement those limitations as to what kind of development they would like to see as part of that master plan you're talking about. I think that's a great idea.
We'll come back. We have our workshop the first week in December. And so we'll come back in January and report to the court the outcome of that workshop.
Okay, and I'll be happy to participate however I can to help move this in the right direction.
Thanks.
Thank you, Pete.
Anything else? Thank you. Let me get rid of a few things in case some people need to leave, and we'll go to the, let me go public comment. Any public comment?
Drive carefully.
Consent. Any item on the consent anybody wish to take out and discuss separately?
Item I.
Okay.
And item FF.
Judge,
Yes.
can you table item AA?
Judge, we have some constables and people here. Can we
Yeah, we're going to take care of all that.
get that?
Anything else? All right, do I hear a motion to approve consent items with the exception of item I, table AA, and item FF? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item I, consideration action for the appointment of Juan Carlos Bermudez and Manuel Cisneros
Judge, I
Courthouse
did
Security.
sign an affidavit on one of the items on double N. So
Okay,
I
please note
abstain
Commissioner Hernandez's abstention on item
Double G.
double G. Okay. Commissioner, you pull that one out.
I pulled that one out just to verify that these two employees, are these part of the courthouse security detail, or are they regular constable employees? And the only reason I raised that question is because of the fact that any of the courthouse security guys were supposed to be hired under sheriff guidelines, and I want to just verify that they are.
Who's here from Precinct 2? Okay. One more time. If someone doesn't show up to an agenda item and any member of the court wishes to have it tabled or deferred, it's going to be tabled or deferred because there's nobody here to answer your question.
Well,
So-
and I don't know if these guys have already started.
We don't know. I don't know. So I don't know if anybody can answer that that's here. All right, so I guess the answer to that is no. So since you pulled it out, if you want to table it, I ask that you do that now because there's nobody here to address it.
For the moment, I'd like to table it
That's
and see if
fine.
we can
Move,
get
do
a
I hear a
hold of.
motion by Commissioner Sanchez to table? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides. Discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. And again, that's why I encourage people that have agenda items on to be here, just because you just never know. Item FF, approval of lease agreement between Texas Department of Motor Vehicle and Cameron County for additional registration and title system workstations. Tony, that's yours. Commissioner, question.
I had a question. What workstations are we talking about here in terms of a, are there going to be new areas that we're opening
Two of the workstations, the money's in place. We're going to be requesting two for the county tax office. We made some remodeling in the main office, and we're going to be adding another 2 workstations in the tax office. The other 2 are for item DD that's on the agenda. This is a private company that's going to be doing title work for the county tax office. They're going to be paying for the workstations.
So the company's going to pay for the workstations.
yes,
It's not at a cost to the county.
Not a single penny. No.
And what is this work that they're doing?
They're going to be doing a work similar that the tax office does, only title work. It's a turnkey operation that they issue license plates, license renewals, and transfer of titles.
What your office does now?
Yes, sir.
But this is a private company that does it?
It's a private partnership that we're going to be having.
And what cost is that to the county?
Nothing.
Okay, and so right now they're going to bring 2 employees to us?
No, they're going to have their operation on a separate location within Cameron County.
Where?
I believe they're negotiating an office on 4670 South Mills Road.
So they'll be able to issue license plates and do everything that your office does?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the convenience on this agreement, or the plus, is they can be opened extended hours before 8 o'clock, after 5 o'clock, weekends, holidays. I think this is going to be a plus for our citizens in Cameron County.
And it doesn't cost us anything?
No, sir.
How do they make money?
The statute requires that they assess a $5 fee, just like we do with we have an agreement with the HEBs and Lopez Food Stores countywide. They charge an additional $1, but they're limited deputies. They can only issue the license renewal sticker that goes on the windshield.
Not plates.
Sir?
Not plates.
Not plates,
Not
no.
plates.
No. This is a full-service deputy. They're going to be able to do everything that we do, and the statute allows them to charge an additional $5.
So right now we pay HEB $1?
Yes, sir.
We would be paying them $5?
No. We don't pay anything. They're assessed to
Or
the customer.
HEB charges an extra $1?
To the customer.
These people would be charging an extra $5?
$5. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Are we going to have notice there to the people saying, if you pay here, you
Oh,
pay
yes,
$5 more? If you go to the county building, you don't pay $5?
Exactly. The agreement is drawn out. We took every precaution. Everybody's going to be notified that if you want to use that service, it's going to cost you. If you want to stand in line for 10, 15 minutes or however long it takes.
At the tax office?
At any of the tax offices.
Okay, and they're going to pay for 4 workstations?
No, they're going to be paying for 2.
2 for them and 2 for us?
Right, and the 2 that we're going to be purchasing, the monies are in my budget already.
Okay, so, and we already have the employees in place?
Yes.
It's just remodeling?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez. Do I have a
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion?
Yes, Tony, real quickly, explain why it works, why people are paying $5. It's kind of like after hours, weekends. They set their own hours, in other words, right?
Well, this is similar. Bigger counties are doing it. Barrett County, Montgomery County, Travis County, other counties in the state are doing it. Hidalgo County just started a year ago. And in talking to the my counterpart, tax collector Armando Barrera, he feels, or he has stated or has addressed this issue because of the limited of hours that we have in the county tax office. We're open 5 days a week from 8 to 5, and people are usually work till 5 o'clock, and they need the service. So this is an added service that we're going to be offering to our customers. They can go there. This particular business is going to be open till 7 o'clock. They're going to be open on weekends, holidays. So I feel this is going to be a plus for our citizens if they want to use that particular business.
And so it's kind of like an optional tax?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, my only concern with that is that you're putting it in Southmost, which is probably one of our,
Well, I'm not putting in Southmost, that's their location they're opening. I didn't tell them where to open up the business, Commissioner. They came in and said, well, look, we want to open a business.
well, do you have to allow them? You have to approve where they're going to open it or not?
Well, we're going to be looking at the location, at the security, and of course, we're going to look at everything, but I cannot tell them where to open. But it is my understanding, in talking to the individuals, they do plan, if this particular partnership works out, they do plan to open up an office in San Benito and one in Harlingen.
Well, and that's fine, and don't get me wrong, it's just to me, putting it in Southmost where you may have a less affluent individual, less educated individual that might not be aware that they're having to pay that extra money, or they're saying, oh, you know, come here and renew it instead of going downtown, they may not realize. I mean, it may not be made aware, as opposed to if you put it in Palm Valley, if you put it, you know, over by VICC, somewhere where you might have a person that doesn't mind paying the extra $5 and they know they're paying the extra $5.
We're going to require these individuals to post a notice in their building, and it's my understanding they're going to put an ad in the paper advising that this is optional, and this is what's going to, you know, it's going to cost you if you want to use their service. If you don't, you come to the courthouse.
Sure. No, that's fine. I don't want to target individuals, or I don't want them targeting individuals
Right, and I
that
understand.
might not be aware. I mean,
Right.
we've got to look out for our citizens.
Of course, of course.
Okay.
I want to say one thing. Southmost area is probably one of the most densely populated areas in the city of Brownsville. Probably in Cameron County, it's probably one of the poorest and least affluent, like you said, which makes they don't have transportation to get around. It's so much more convenient, and it's almost a city within itself. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but it's an incredible area, very dynamic, and it's really a perfect place to put one as a business person. It's not a bad place to do business.
Yes, I think it is. I think it's estimated there's about approximately 60,000 people in that area, and I think this is going to be a good. Of course, we're going to monitor. We're going to make sure everything. And to answer your question, Bruce, Section 301 of the agreement does have the training.
Oh, it did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you know, that was fine. I just wanted to check with you on that this morning.
Yeah, and I'm glad you.
No, from a business perspective, it's great. I mean, you're going to have a bunch of people that are going to go there to renew. I just want to make sure they're aware that it's costing them $5 extra than if they go to the county building.
We're going to make sure
Okay.
that the people are advised.
Thank you.
Let me, just as I think that's a good point. I'm just thinking, when you send out the renewal notices, where you have, if you send it by mail, it's an extra $1 or something, do you have the ability to, or how much is it if you do it by mail?
By mail, I believe it's an extra $1.
It's $1.
An extra $1.
Are you going to, are you going to have anything on that renewal sticker that says you can pay at this location for an extra $5?
Well, that
many
notice
do you
comes
get?
from, directly from Austin, and
Okay.
we have no control over that, but we will be asking TxDOT of this particular partnership. I don't think they do, because Harris County has had this partnership for years, and it's not in their renewal notice.
Okay.
Bear County also.
Right, okay. All right, thanks. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Let's go to item H. Consideration approval of resolution to adopt new JP precincts and eliminate constable positions. David?
Judge, Commissioners, good morning. You should have a resolution before you that was prepared initially by Mr. Rios. Bruce, our counsel, also made some modifications to it. This resolution before you speaks to the issue that was discussed last week with regards to the new districts, new precincts for the JPs, and specifically the elimination of constable in constable positions, 2 of them. I don't know if Bruce wants to elaborate a little bit more on the JP issue.
Well, I just followed instructions and put together a resolution that I think will maximize our chances with the Voting Rights Act people up in Washington, D.C., and which should satisfy everyone as to what the intention of the court's action last meeting was in terms of whether or not JPs were being reduced at the same time the constables were being reduced. This resolution clarifies for one and all, I think, in very clear terms, that the constables, there are 2 constables that are being reduced, but that otherwise the sitting JPs shall continue to sit as JPs, and that in a couple of cases their particular court will have a change in terms of the precinct because of the merger of the San Benito and Rio Hondo precinct and the merger of the Harlingen and the La Feria precinct. Otherwise, it's basically just following instructions to make sure that the record is clear as to what action the court took.
So this is reflective of the majority of the court's wish from the last meeting?
Yes, sir.
Basically, there wasn't any intent to eliminate JPs. It was just reconfiguring the precincts, merging them. And by merging them, there was an elimination of 2 constables. Now, we didn't say we want to get rid of this constable or that one. We just said instead of 7, we're going to have 5 precincts. And as a result, right now would be the proper time to do that because all of them are up for election. All of them can still run. All of them can have the opportunity to win the office.
Well, why don't we cut to the chase, because I don't think there's any dispute in terms of what the action the court took last week in terms of the constables. What the issue is, and let's not forget about, it doesn't matter what the intent was, what actually happened when we took the vote as it relates to the JPs. Because if you look, Roger, I know Roger's here, and looking at, come on up, Roger, because I want you to explain a little bit what you inferred by the action the court took and what you and I talked about. Because if you look at the map, if I remember the map right, it eliminated the number, the actual precinct number. Let's talk about La Feria. It eliminated that. So whatever the intent of I knew what was going on in terms of that JP would merge into the other one, not create another JP slot, not create another one, no, not eliminate and create or rename, but rather that JP would now run, if he elected to do that, wherever the 5-1 and 5-2 run.
So your idea, your thought was that we were eliminating the La Feria JP?
It's not my thought. That's what was presented to the court.
I'm asking you if that was what you believed happened.
That is what happened.
Did you believe that was happening?
Yes.
That we were eliminating La Feria and Rio Hondo?
Well, you can't do Rio Hondo until 2014. So and we can't even decide on that one. So really, in terms of the merging of the constables, I don't believe there's any dispute as to what the court not only intended, but actually did.
Well, I think you can eliminate them, you just still have to pay them.
Well, if you want to do that, that's fine.
Well, no, I'm not saying I want to do that.
But
I'm asking if that was your intent.
No, it was to let everybody finish out their term. That was what we actually did. So, I'm the one that brought it up, said, are you sure you guys wanted to do this? Because that's not what we discussed. But let me have Roger explain what you inferred the action the court took was.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge.
Well, I don't see how Roger has anything to do with what we're doing here. I think
I think he does.
I was a bystander in the regard that I did not support doing that. But my interpretation of what occurred here when we voted as a court on this issue was 2 constables were eliminated, period. The rest were going to be merged into the existing precincts,
right,
as they were next to or part of.
Correct.
And Bruce was instructed to bring a resolution to this court for that to occur. And that's the resolution we have here. Simple.
Right.
No one mentioned about getting rid of any
JP.
JP. The only mention was made in 2014 that 4 would be moved toward the Brownsville area so that Brownsville would have one more JP.
Right, and that's the whole idea of this, is trying to, instead of creating a new judge in Brownsville later at the cost of the taxpayers, we become a little more efficient with our services, with
Well,
our resources.
I don't know about all that. I'm just telling you that.
Well, I do.
The way
That's-
the way the
that was the
map
purpose of this.
the way the map was presented, that we adopted. I'm just telling you what
Okay,
I
well-
believe, or else, you know what, if that was not the issue, we wouldn't be here today trying to reconfigure.
Okay, does
and
this,
to do that.
does this fix what we need to have done, Bruce?
Yes, I think so. I mean, it clarifies that the JPs who were in the precincts that were dropped have been merged, as was discussed, and then in order to accommodate their office, in one case, for example, Adam Gonzalez's case, Judge Gonzalez's case in La Feria, we had to drop his precinct 7 place 1 designation and rename that court as
5-3.
precinct 5-3.
Right.
No, where
So-
was that discussed in last week's meeting?
Well, there was no particular discussion of creating 5-3.
Correct.
But it was implicit, at least as I understood it, in doing away with 2 constable offices, having only 5 precincts, and keeping all your judges, and knowing which of those 2 precincts being eliminated were being merged, that these judges would continue to hold office in the newly merged precinct. So 7 was merged to 5. What was it? 4 was merged to 3. 6 became 4, as I recall, the way the map is drawn up now. So, that was the best I could do to try to carry out the intent, as I understood it, of the court.
And the other thing too is, I think we're missing the point here. When you merge precincts, we're not choosing, we want to get rid of this constable. We're merging them so there can only be one constable. By the process of merging, it turns out that there can only be one, but you can have more than one JP per precinct, and that's in effect what we did, because we never talked about eliminating any JPs. We talked about in the 2014 that at that time we would talk about shifting JPs, but again, it gives everybody, all the judges that are there, the ability to run for an office without saying, we're getting rid of you, we're getting rid of you. We're just merging them.
But you can do that.
was my understanding that they were not going to be touched.
Well,
All along,
this is correct.
this
You're
was
right. I agree.
going to supposedly, in the future, eliminate Precinct 4,
I agree
JP.
100%. This corrects and clarifies that exactly what you just said. This says, yes, Adam stays, the one in Rio Hondo stays, just the two constables go. If you vote against it, then Adam, well, if it goes down, then Adam and the judge in Rio Hondo are automatically eliminated.
If it goes down.
If it doesn't pass, this doesn't pass.
Well, I don't know if that's really accurate. First of all, I wasn't confused. I knew exactly what the map showed, and I think the reason that it's back to do this is because there was some confusion.
So your intent was to eliminate Judge Flores and Judge Gonzalez's position?
Well, I don't know if you can do Judge Flores.
Well, how can you
right
do
now.
one and not the other?
You're doing it. You're doing it one and not the other.
How?
Well, because what you're doing is you're merging the 20, in other words, you're not, why don't you do this, then why don't you add to the Rio Hondo, why don't you add 3-3, like you're doing with 5-3? Why won't you add 3-3 in
We are.
2014? No, in Rio Hondo, what you're talking about is merging the two JP. So you're going to create another JP position then in Rio Hondo.
If you read this, Judge, on the second page, Rio Hondo judge right now that's in Precinct 4 becomes 3-3. That's what it says here.
I understand that. But when you're talking about in 2014 then, what happens in 2014?
In 2014, place 1 and 3 would be up for election. At that time, we could eliminate one of those positions and say there's only going to be one. Both of you can run for it if you want. And that extra position, put it in Brownsville. Or we can just create a new position in
leave it alone.
Brownsville. We don't have to get rid of it over there. It's just by doing this.
Okay, so what this does basically is the Rio Hondo JP in 2014, now you're going to have 3 JPs in that district.
For now.
And they're all going to, well, for now. Everything is for now. Yeah, and they're all going to run in that large San Benito, Rio Hondo area, correct?
Right.
Okay. And then in the Harlingen, what you're proposing or what is being proposed is that instead of having the precinct 7 eliminated, you create 5-3, and they all run in Harlingen, all that.
They're going to run in that entire area.
Right, including La Feria.
Right.
So Commissioner Benavides is correct in that that Adam will be running in all the precincts that.
What used to be 5 and 7.
No, I understand that. I mean,
both.
just so, but for her to be told that that's not right, she is being right because Adam, because Adam is not just running in his La Feria precincts in 2012.
He's got to run in Harlingen as well.
That's correct.
But so does everyone else.
No.
Everyone running for that position has to.
Well, I know that.
But what Commissioner Hernandez was telling her is if we don't do this and we leave it as you said was done last week, he's completely out. That position's eliminated.
Okay, so then basically you're agreeing then what we adopted last week by this fixes what the court unintentionally did last week.
Well, I don't know that there was any unintentionally doing.
but
I think just because of the confusion gets cleared up with this. This clears up the confusion.
Well, there was never any confusion on my part.
There was no confusion.
But okay.
We have to pass a resolution.
I've said
Right.
that. Now, let me just go back and assuming all this happens the way it is, at the end of the day, what you end up is with the Los Fresnos JP bringing in about $150,000 per year. Everybody else is almost at $300,000. So we're going to have to decide what we're going to do with that particular precinct at that point. It's costing more to operate. No, not today. It's costing more to operate that particular precinct than what the revenues that are bringing in because of the concern with the budget. Okay?
Sure.
Because we need to address that as well. Okay.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, we can give him more Brownsville next go round.
Okay. Well, that's something.
Cut
that-
into
that we
Alton
need to
Glory
dis-
area. That'll reduce the amount of area.
Or you can also, that Los Fresnos precinct.
But that's for another day.
I understand that. But just so there's no misunderstanding and confusion once again, we can always give the Los Fresnos precinct more of Brownsville, correct? And not
Yes.
have to create another Brownsville precinct.
We're not going to create another Brownsville precinct.
No.
We would add a
Well, that would
judge
be the
to
one
there.
that would go to, because that would be the smallest revenue generating JP in the county at that point, based on these numbers.
Okay. Well, we can look at all this.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so it passed 3-2. Okay, Commissioner Gatsa, yay. Sanchez, Ernie Hernandez, yay. And then Commissioner.
And
Judge.
I voted to approve a resolution of what the majority of the court did last week.
Me too.
You
All
know,
right.
the
Okay,
confusion
let's
is,
move on. We had move on second.
everybody else
Okay,
is-
let's go back to the regular agenda.
On
David.
consent, Judge, item I, the constable's office is here, if you want to take that item back.
Okay, you want to bring it back, Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to item I. Consideration action for an appointment of Juan Carlos Bermudez Manuel Cisneros.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning. The only question I had on this, the people that you're hiring for these positions, are they the constable side or the courthouse security?
Courthouse security.
Okay. Were they hired in guidelines with sheriff hiring practices?
Everything was done, the background, fingerprints, everything was sent to
Well,
us.
and remember, Bruce, when we passed this, whoever was hired was going to be hired under sheriff practicing guidelines?
Right, the MOU,
Right. And I just want to make sure that that's done before we approve this.
well, of course, I don't know. We would have to ask Lieutenant Jaime here whether they, follow the letter of the MOU in terms of the hiring practices. My recollection of it is that if they have background check, they pass a background check, pass the psychological, pass the agility test, they pass the civil service exam, all of these various elements, then they would be hired in accordance with sheriff's practices. Now, I don't think the MOU spells precisely all of those things out, but the sheriff's hiring practices are well known to the sheriff and can certainly be conveyed to Constable Precinct 2 to assure that they're done properly. So it may be that we table any action, if there's going to be any action on it, until the lieutenant gets a chance to talk with Pete and make sure that they followed the rules that the sheriff's department has for hiring, new people, to the courthouse security detail. Are these new employees, Jaime?
There are deputy reserves, two of them. both of them.
Okay, so, but they have not been Cameron County employees
No, sir.
before?
No.
And just out of curiosity, are they replacing people who have either resigned?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Two
so
positions.
one would be taking theoretically Mr. Shears' position. One of them would be taking, who was the other one, Petraka?
Yes, sir.
So these two positions, these are new hires,
Yes, sir.
and you do need, in order for everybody to honor their commitments under the MOU that you all have signed, to assure that the sheriff's department hiring practices are being followed very clearly, okay?
I would move to approve subject to the sheriff's hiring practices being followed for these two hires. And that was the
agreement.
memorandum of understanding that everybody signed.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Thank you.
Same to you.
Let's go back to the regular agenda now. Item A, budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules.
Judge, Commissioners, you have the budget amendment placed in front of you. It's line item transfers. The first one is a $20 one for the extension agent, and the other two are for, one of them is HIDA, one of them is Parks, and then the drug forfeiture fund. Also attached, you have a salary schedule for Isla Blanca Parks, and that is the changes being made per discussion that was held in executive session at the last meeting for your approval.
Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Claims.
Claims payroll dated November the 23rd for $1,726,223.13. Warrants number 269615 through 269899. Warrants number 269904 through 270096. Please note void warrant number 269736. You also have Caremark medical claims for $498,736.44 for your approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Martha. Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides. Please note my abstention on the affidavits I provided. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. Item C, minutes of October the 13th and the 27th regular. Court had a chance to look at them.
So moved to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
I haven't had a chance to go over them, Judge, so.
I haven't gone over the minutes.
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay,
Rescind my
rescind.
motion.
Move by Commissioner Hernandez to table
Second.
till the next meeting. Second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed,
Aye.
item carries. Item D, consideration approval of appropriating funds to hire jailers for the jail division. Pete? I need everybody up here. I guess Mike, Martha, you've got the numbers, and Pete. Okay.
I just placed the item based on the discussion the court had.
Okay, let me go back. What we talked about the last time was the hiring of X amount of jailers and finding the funds. In the interim, Bruce has found that drug forfeiture monies, Fund 90 monies, can be used for the hiring of jailers. The sheriff was asked last week if Bruce would find the language or the law that allowed the use of those monies for that. The sheriff agreed that he would utilize Fund 90 monies for that. The money that we were looking at it for him was about $250,000 for that, and then the rest of it was going to come from Martha.
I spoke to Mike, and
And how many jailers are we talking about so we can, I think the initial, what I thought was 17 jailers, and then moving the PAW, and then moving the 2 deputies that are out on patrol, unless you all have another number that we need to be looking at. That's a good number. Is that a good number?
What I wanted to know, I went and visited the jail this week. A district judge went with me, a county court at law judge went with me, pretrial services, magistrate court. And one of the areas that we visited was the booking area. And the booking area seems to need some help over there. And one of the things that, in visiting with the jail staff there, was that there's a lot of turnover, and it takes a lot of time to train someone in the booking. Doing certain TCIC, NCIC checks and booking people in and out can take a while. And when you have turnover and you don't have the ability to keep those people there, it slows everything. So you have a bottleneck coming in, a bottleneck going out. And so one of the things that I would suggest while we're doing this is if maybe we can consider allocating money that for officers that are in the booking area, that maybe we allow a certain higher pay grade with a certain requirement of computer functionality or training. Because one thing that I saw there, and I think it's pretty evident, maybe Mr. Leinert can agree or disagree, he wasn't available at our meeting, but one of the things that I saw there is that they have notebooks, and every single individual that goes into that jail, they have a paper file on them. And that paper file, updating it, putting in and out, I mean, just takes so much time. And shifting from that to an electronic way of doing things, I think would speed up everything tremendously. But you have to have the ability to have trained individuals and people that will stay at that job. I was talking to Lieutenant Trevino, and she says a lot of people will come in, she'll get them trained, and then, you know, they're waiting for another job, or another job that pays better comes up and they leave. And so you have to start over training someone. So as part of this, if there's any way to do it, I'd like to see about maybe designating for the booking area, if we can give a little bit of an increase there, because that bottleneck is causing a lot of delay in releasing prisoners and getting that process done.
When you refer to a notebook, what kind of information is in there?
Everything that comes with that prisoner, from the magistration to whatever record they have on that individual. They go to court, whatever, and there are these huge binders, and there's a bunch of them. I wouldn't know. How many do you have, Mr. Leonard?
Well, let me tell you, there's a reason for that. We keep a written copy of everything for the file in case somebody loses or doesn't implement it, put it in the computer, then we have the original document. Not only that, we have cells with 120 inmates in it, and the only way we can do a count is with a piece of paper with the inmate's picture on it. We do a count 4 times a day. So when we count the inmates, we go, there's one Garcia, okay, one Garcia with his picture. We don't know all the inmates, all 1,500 by heart or who their names are. So that's.
Well, you'd think that by all the time they've been in there, y'all would be on a first-name basis.
No, but that's the thing. They rotate in and out so fast.
Giving an increase to that slot's going to fix the problem. It's not going to fix the problem.
I think the booking officers, you know, this is a little off topic. The booking officers do a lot more work and have a different skill level, number one. Number two is we also count on what we call corporals. We don't have corporals in the salary schedule. They are the assistant sergeants, and when the sergeant is gone on his vacation or the 2 days he has off, this corporal takes over that shift. And we have a lot of turnover there because they get paid the same as an officer. And if we do get the 17 positions, 18 or 24 positions, I'd like to ask the court if we could designate those positions as corporal slots, because I have 18 sergeants with this 12-hour shift. I have to have 18 or 16 sergeants, 2 floor sergeants. I'd like to designate the employees that we're going to hire.
But changing the title does what?
Well, I'd like to give them some money too, you know, at least separate them from the entry level and the sergeant. Well, sooner or later, we're going to have to do it at one point because it's just the right thing to do.
I understand, I agree, but I'm just saying for purposes of that booking, because I saw what happened, and I've talked to some of the courts, and by talking to Lieutenant Trevino, she says the hardest thing is keeping them there because of the pay and the responsibility and all the work. I mean, it's kind of like, and this may not be a good correlation to make or a good metaphor to use, but like an air traffic controller, but in the jail, because that person has to direct everyone coming in and out. And so the work, the pressure, the stress on that individual, I think, is higher than your regular jailer. Would you disagree with me?
No, I agree. I did that job for 3 years myself.
Okay.
It's a real
and so
job.
what happens is if we're having a lot of turnover there, that's the bottleneck. That's the biggest bottleneck created, I think, in bringing people in and taking them out.
So just so I understand, what I'm hearing is if you want to increase the slot by X amount of dollars, because that's going to make people work better or harder, or are you talking about replacing who is there with somebody else with some other qualifications for that position?
Judge, we have, again, this is assistants, we call them assistant sergeant or corporal. That person is one of the backbones of the jail because...
No, I understand that.
And let me he didn't ask for this. They didn't ask for it. This is something I saw.
I understand that. But say, you know what, you're doing a job, whatever it is, okay? And you got a bottleneck. We're going to give you $1,000 more. That's not going to make you do your job better. It may make you feel better, but it's not going to improve your productivity. It's not going to. You're still working hard. You're still working. You're just getting paid a little bit more. I don't see how that's going to cure. I don't disagree conceptually with what you're talking about.
It keeps people from quitting and going somewhere else and having to train someone.
Well, you know what? Look, and I just don't believe in isolating a segment of a population to do that when you've got deputies out there that are also underpaid. That we have a high turnover with the deputies.
Do you pay everyone in your office the same amount? Does everyone make the same salary?
When they come in, yes, they do.
Right now, everyone in your office makes the same salary?
No. The longer that they're there, they get paid more money.
And it's only on longevity? So
on longevity and performance.
Who's the person
that's private enterprise, and you can't compare.
No. I'm in your office right now. Who makes the most in your office right now?
Oh, in my office over here?
Yes, here.
I'm sorry. Okay.
County, this is what we're talking about.
Okay.
The person who makes the most in your office over here?
Probably the one that's been there the longest.
And who's that?
Alice.
Okay. And everyone else, have they been here the same amount of time?
No, they're all different.
Okay, so you...
Well, they've been here since I've been here.
Okay, do they all get paid the same?
No, they do not.
Why not?
That's not the way the salary schedule's not.
Well, why not?
That's my choice.
And exactly, and that's fine with it. I don't have a problem with it. But I'm saying the same thing I think should apply here because some people have other duties.
No, but you know, when I came in, those salaries were in place. I did not change a whole lot of it. I'm talking about deputies that are out there that come in entry level, and no matter how long, you know, we don't have that type of system, and I wish we did, either merit pay, longevity pay, bonus incentives, et cetera.
Why don't we create it?
Because it's too costly, Dan. I mean, you know, we've gone down that route before several times, and it becomes too costly to try to do that. All I'm saying is this, I don't want to get out of the swimming lane too much, but if you're going to, and I don't have a problem conceptually with that, but if you're going to talk, well, because we got turnover, you got turnover in almost every single law enforcement department because of the pay.
Well, but that's the bottleneck created there, and that's what I'm saying. If we can avoid that bottleneck by paying them a little bit more, so they don't leave.
Well, then you're talking about paying that slot more and bringing somebody else in.
Well, not necessarily.
But how?
Keeping them from leaving, because every time a new person comes in that they have to train, it slows the process.
When was the last time somebody new was placed in that position?
We average about 50.
That position?
That position?
In
How long
booking.
has that person been there?
We go through those folks about every 90 days. We'll get a new person wants out.
And what's the pay for that slot?
It starts at around $24,000.
Okay, so how much more do you think we're going to have to pay in order to keep somebody for a year or 2 years?
And we're just talking in the booking area, doing that job.
The booking, all the booking folks, they should be making at least as much as a sergeant, which is almost $30,000. And that's what a clerk makes when they come in.
And what does that do to the sergeant now, or even the patrol deputies that are making just a little bit more than that, out doing shift work, out risking their lives, out the whole deal?
I don't know too many people in patrol or anyone in the sheriff's department would want to work in the booking office.
Even getting paid 30?
Yes, it's a real demanding job. It's very demanding.
Is it pretty much also shift work?
Yes, it is. It's
Okay.
shift work, and you have the responsibility of the courts. You have to make sure the dockets are there.
Okay, so then you would encourage giving an increase in salary, not so much to make them work better, but keep them from leaving.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, and how much you talking about?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying right now that we're doing this would be the prime time to do this. And the effects, the long-term effects are these people won't quit and we don't have to retrain.
I think that the sheriff needs to be involved in this, because if we start, unilaterally giving money to these slots and taking the control out of his office to do this, I'm not saying he's not going to support it, but he may see a trickle-up effect, saying, well, okay, well, now what do I do with these guys who are making the same amount of money? I'm just throwing out there. I mean, because I just don't know, and I think he needs to say yay or nay. I mean, on this, because it may create some issues for
Sure. No, I mean,
other
ultimately,
employees.
it's his department, and I can see him having that issue, but if it's us as a court saying, we're going to give you money here because of the turnover here, because that bottleneck
How many people are we talking about there?
18 corporals, and I would say another 19 booking officers.
Okay, so how many people are we talking giving potentially a $5,000 increase?
Approximately 18.
Okay.
That's how many booking officers you have?
Booking and classification,
Yeah.
they do both.
Okay.
So really, whatever money we save by the constable issue, we're making it up over here.
Well, and we don't have to spend it. I'm just saying that's something that I saw last week, and when they explained it to me, why, and that's something that's not going to fix itself. The only way that I think that gets cured is by having someone there that, or maybe what we do is we say, look, we're going to designate a matrix in that position. The longer you stay, we can pay you more. But give the sheriff the ability to do that. So it gives the person an incentive to stick around
let's
and
bring,
not take
Can we
another
make a matrix? Can we get one, develop one, and bring it before the court?
You can do it. I mean,
we'll make one.
I think every department needs to do that. We tried that a few years ago, and it really didn't go very far, because we found that there was a lot of inequity in pay throughout the county. For people in various departments would go across the hall and, get a 20% increase by going across the hall because they happen to have the money available. I don't have any problem with that. But let's get back to where we are with the jailers right now. And if you want to just maybe, instead of doing the 17 jailers plus the 2 plus whatever the POP program is, if you want to hold back a little bit, because we're going from 600 and some odd thousand now to adding another potentially $50,000, $60,000 or more to this particular line item. So let's bring it back to talk about it. But for now, what is it that you need today in terms of the jailers. Now, if we bring more money into those slots that Commissioner Sanchez was talking about, are you going to need all those jailers?
We're eventually, because
you're going to need them to open up the
other one.
The pod.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Well, why don't we talk about that for now? Let's bring the other stuff back, or wait till maybe you come up with some kind of a matrix for that, and then bring it back to the court.
It's fine.
Maybe either right before.
I'm just saying, right now that we're talking about putting more money into that, let's try to fix it a little more completely than just a Band-Aid.
The only difference here is that here we're putting money in with new bodies. Over here, we're adding money to the existing bodies, and it's just two different things.
But how many new people are we going to have inmates are we going to add by adding these new positions?
Okay,
how many inmates?
The marshals, they met their bargain, their end of the bargain that we had, and they took 150 out. They said they'd do it by Monday.
But by adding these new jailers, how many more inmates is the county going to take in?
We're going to be able to open the L section, so we're going to be able to have 128 more beds.
Okay, so 128 more people are going to come in and out of the booking area, right?
That's correct.
And that's something we need to consider, because they have to come in and out
We
there.
average 50 a day, in the booking area.
Okay.
All right. Well, bring it back whenever you're ready. And I think Commissioner Hernandez just made a comment to me that it's not so much how much it may cost us, it's how much it may save us. And we may have to look, but it's kind of hard to quantify that number. But I know it's going to save us something if we expedite the processing.
Sure.
Okay.
If this move here, we have 88 inmates out right now. So we're going to try, hopefully by Monday, to get that number down to about 20.
Have them all back in.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's go back then. 17 Monday. Who said?
I want to ask Mike something. You're saying that by opening up the new section, you'll be able to open up 128 new beds, okay?
That's
right?
correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the marshals are going to meet their end of the bargain, that they're going to bring their total amount of inmates to 150?
They've done that already. They're
They
at
already
150.
have. Okay.
When we open the 100, what we'd like to do if we can maintain a balance, when we open that 128 beds, if we have 40 or 50 beds available, we will tell the marshals, we'll take those. We don't want to get in a position where we're back in the same boat again, but we want to be able to, keep as many federal prisoners in here as possible. Just to stop the bleedings, so to say, we got the 150 out. The 126 beds will be open, and we should have about 75 empty beds when this is all over in the next, I would say, 6 weeks.
Okay, money?
And right now we're paying $200,000 plus a month to keep those prisoners out.
Well, hopefully by next week there won't be 22 out.
Right, but I mean, that's what we've been paying.
Right, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, let's go back to the numbers on this. How many are in the POP program? 4? 4, 2, 7, so we're talking about 24 now. The dollars for that is around $655?
Okay, I'm sorry. I
That's
was
all right.
clarifying the number of people that this is going to
That we're going to convert
make
into
available.
jail. Okay, so we're talking about 24 additional jailers.
Okay. You're talking about 24 additional jailers.
Yeah, break it down for me.
And that's going to be utilized by discontinuing the PAW program, which is at the sheriff's discretion, and that will allow 5 detention guards to work at detention and not the PAW program.
Okay, correct.
And
So that's a
then-
wash.
Okay, yes. And
Pretty
then you
much.
have, there's 2 deputies that are doing transportation, and those are going to be used as jailers. As jail transport. So
Okay, that's a wash.
those 7 are included in the count of the 24.
That's correct.
So there's only going to be, actually new is going to be 17
That's correct.
additional jailers. Is that?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's why I hope there's no confusion.
That's what I'm
that's
clarifying
what it
what we're
is.
going to pick up. And then we have roughly calculated, once this other section gets opened, it'd probably be about $165,000 in food. Additional household supplies would be $10,000, uniforms $4,000, utilities about $30,000, and medical about $70,000.
So the total is?
I need to add that up because, let me see, operations. Total operations for the year with 17 jailers is $863,518.
How can it be that much?
That's gonna, well, because you have your operating cost in there, and that's per annum.
What operating
This needs
costs
to
are you
be,
putting in there, though? Other
this
than
needs to break out that we're actually gonna fund it for 10 months and not 12 months.
Yeah, but explain to me how, other than salary and benefits, what other operating costs do you have for those jailers?
Not for the jailers, 17
Oh,
jailers.
you're talking about,
No, the
okay, you're talking about
facility.
For the
okay.
operational
Okay,
costs,
gotcha,
okay.
gotcha,
Your
gotcha.
17 jailers is $581,519
that's what I was
for 12
figuring.
months.
Got it.
Okay, so
All right,
that's,
all right,
the other is all
all
the
right.
operational.
All right.
Funding that we're looking at, I spoke to Mike, and we can pull $150,000 in the overtime. That's from the $500,000 that was allotted to them. A $250,000 from that the sheriff has agreed to from drug forfeiture.
That's 400,000.
Right, and then the rest is going to have to come from
That's about
pending,
another 300 and something thousand.
pending funding.
Okay, well, the pending funding, you would, for now, you can book the 400,000, and then the balance you can sweep from lapse until you use it up.
Well, I won't be able to sweep it from lapse because we don't have that much in lapse right now.
No,
to
not right
cover.
now.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, that's the overall intent. For the time being, it's gonna have to come from fund balance.
okay.
Now, the alternative, if we don't do this, we're looking at about 200,000 a
Plus
month.
some-
Well, we're still going to have some, I mean, look, let's not think that we're wiping everything out. We're still going to have probably 60 to 75,000 a month in housing inmates outside. That was my guesstimate.
That's correct.
Is that about right? Okay, so really it's a big savings, but we still have a good chunk that's going to be out there that we cannot do anything about at this point.
Well, because we're also gonna be short in revenue from
From the
US.
feds, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's not all going one way.
What did the,
No, but, I mean, and that's what we have to
We're going to stay a little
consider.
bit, yeah, I mean, we're fine, but
the MGA report that you just received, what did that number come out for the record? Cost per day?
I believe it was to book, it was 62, Commissioner, the first day, and then 40, around, I want to say 46,
46? And how much are we getting from the feds? A day?
35.
35 what? 36 what?
36, 35?
Okay, so I wouldn't exactly say that we're making money on that deal, eh?
no, we're not making money on that, but also, if we farm them out for 48, we're really
Yeah.
saving money too, because it costs us more to farm them out than to keep them here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to look at that argument.
We're ready, anytime to reapply for the per diem increase, so,
We're ready to.
okay.
Okay.
I know that Mike had sent me an email. He was requesting 2 booking officers. So are you going to incorporate that? Are you going to incorporate those from the 17 or what are?
I need to look. A lot of a big deal of our overtime is our visitation. We have to have visitation one day on the weekends at least and one during the week. And we have 5 visitation stations and only 4 visitation officers. So we would like to take one of those positions and make it a visitation clerk. That way we don't have to use a jailer whenever that visitation clerk's off to do visitation work, and the difference in pay is about $6,000 a year. In addition, we're also, since we're getting all these inmates, we're going to have to hire a full-time commissary clerk, but that comes out of the commissary budget, and then another part-time just to catch up. And then again, Commissioner, when you were there, I apologize, the sheriff and I were in Collin County looking at the Odyssey, but the Odyssey is something we're working out right now, and that's kind of backing us up a little bit. It's going to take a learning curve of at least about 6 more months, according to the counties that we've seen. They say it works very well. It just takes
Time to learn it.
Time to learn
Right.
it.
And that's kind of what I was talking about, like paying these booking officers a little bit more would come also with requiring maybe some additional computer training, because you're taking people that are in a paper age and putting them into an electronic age. And like your jail count, is it not possible to get like a live scan in each cell and have each inmate go up and put their thumb to give you your count rather than looking at a paper and say, okay, you're here, you're here, you're here?
We're close. We already have the ID bands on the inmates right now. The Odyssey has that capability with the scanners to go ahead and do that. So hopefully...
To make your count quicker.
And to get rid of the paper. Like I said, right now, we have to depend on walking into a jail cell and saying, okay, that's you, that's you, that's
Right.
you, that's you. If we have the ID bracelets and the scanner, that goes into the to the Odyssey system, we can do that in real time. We just don't have all the hardware yet. That's the next phase. Hopefully, after we get all these interim issues worked out with the Odyssey, we'll move on to going paperless as possible. But it's just it's a big ship and it's hard to steer.
Well, it's a new way of doing things, but I think when you give someone some incentive pay saying, look, we're going to give you a little bit more money because we're going to expect you to be trained in this area to do this job a little more efficient, I think it goes a long way. But, you know.
I'm all for that. Raises for the folks, it'd be great, Commissioner. And they deserve it, and everyone in the county does, too.
No,
I'm just saying.
I agree, but, you know, right now this is a cost-saving measure, and from what I saw at the jail, that's the biggest bottleneck right there, that if we don't cure that, it doesn't matter how many bids we put up. If it's going to take you 3 days to book them in or out because you don't have the ability to move them quicker because you have someone still learning the job because they're new, then it doesn't really give us any advantage in having a lot more beds.
You know, I would add one thing to all of this discussion, and that is the risk management aspect of it. If you smooth up that booking process, we're going to reduce risks that otherwise is there, that we've already had a taste of.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right.
All right.
So for the next meeting, we will bring back a revised salary schedule for the jail division with 17 new slots added as jailers.
Correct. And any adjustments that you need to make to the other slots. Okay?
Are you going through the process now of getting people ready for these jobs?
Yes,
Another-
we've already...
We started that about a month ago, right?
Yes, about 3 weeks ago, psychological. So we're hopefully once it's approved, it'll be about 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, so are we clear on the appropriations of the monies? Yes. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you, Mike. Item E, consideration and approval of floor plan and site layout for the La Seca store restoration.
Judge and Commissioner, there's a layout in your packet. The only change is a consideration to eliminate the wall between the conference area and the fireplace. We'd still need to leave a column there, but that entire area would then be all open area.
Be all open.
Yeah, and we can always come back at a later date and add that little portion of the wall.
Right. Right.
So that's staff's recommendation.
Any questions?
Motion
Do I
to
hear a
approve?
motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item D, approval to keep old courthouse security offices located on the 3rd floor. Dan?
Move to table.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Hernandez to table. All in favor, signify by, let me go back and discuss that. Second to table. Why are we tabling it?
Because I talked to the constable and
They don't want it anymore, or what?
I think they didn't need it. They worked it out.
They did? Okay.
Yes.
Y'all worked it out? With the
constable, he talked to Judge Leonel Alejandro. He said we can keep him. They made an agreement for us to keep him.
For who to keep them?
For the constable's office to keep him.
The office?
Well, but that's
For
what
two
this,
offices upstairs.
well, that's what this item is to transfer him to him.
He asked me to table it, and he's not here, so
Just stepped out.
I'd ask to table it, and then when he gets back, if he wants it back on, he can put it back on. But
Okay, but right now, it's what he wanted?
Yes.
All right, okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item H, we've already done that one.
Executive
Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. To discuss the following items, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning U.S. of America on versus 11.04 acres pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A and 2. Item B, confer with legal counsel concerning Cameron County versus TAC pursuant to Code Section, oh, we got a presentation here, I forgot. We'll do that when we come back. pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A, B, and 2. Item C, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel against Tronsoco Reyes Lopez for nuisance abatement pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A. Last item, purchase real property in the city of Los Fresnos pursuant to Code Section 551.0712.